Welcome to Burlesk Custom Guitars. Guitars have been my passion for my entire life. Handcrafted by my hands to be played by yours. Each one I create is like no other. My name is James. Come along with me on this musical journey.
Hi, James.
Good day.
What do you have here?
This is a lovely, lovely Gibson Les Paul that was brought in from a client that I wanted to show you. That's kind of a unique piece. If you note on the back, the headstock, the serial number is actually stamped on instead of imprinted or punched in, and there's no made in the USA on there. But you can see it's got a lot of patina and really cool wear on it. It's all been done by years and years of playing. And I am actually going to be doing the frets on this and just doing a full setup on it, but it's just a pleasure to have something like this on the bench.
So you're gonna burlesque-size it?
Well, I'm gonna, yeah, to a degree, I'm gonna burlesque-size it. I'm not replacing any parts, obviously, because that would be
Crazy.
and crazy. But I'm gonna clean it up a bit, and I'm gonna clean up the fretboard and do the frets, and just give it some general maintenance and make sure she's tickety-boo.
Nice.
Yeah.
What's going on here, James?
I just finished repairing a preamp on a bass that was cutting in and out. And it was actually the contacts on this board here and behind. I should have taken pictures, I'm sorry, or pardon me, on this piece here and back. It was wiggling around. It obviously had been banged or something in previous times, and someone had been in here doing a little bit of work and made a bit of a mess of the power line, so I just reran a new power line and put in a new battery jack as well, just to make sure everything was working in good contact. And I also did a fret dress and stuff on the frets here, and got her all beautified. But I'm still in the midst of this baby. Just a Fender Squier bass, but it's pretty cool. 5-string jazz bass, pretty nice. Still got to do a bit of a setup on it, but got to get these electronics figured out.
All right.
All right.
Well, let's have a look at it when you're done.
All right. 5-string bass. As you can see, I've been taking some heavy metal on this. They were quite pitted and flat in spots. Sorry about the fan in the background. But yeah, even basses need love too. Halfway there. Now I gotta crown them up.
Hi, James.
Hello. Welcome to Burlesk Laboratories, where we solve problems for people. What I have here is a Dunlop 535Q Crybaby pedal, and these are known as a tone-sucking pedal like you would not believe. And I looked online and I looked around to see if there was any kind of mods or anything I could do with it. And everything I saw basically told me no, there wasn't anything to make it true bypass. The reason being is the board itself is flush mount, and all of the components and stuff are basically flush mounted to the board. And in order to basically do it, you'd have to tear the whole thing apart and pretty much redesign the board. So not cost effective and way too much work. So what I have done is I brought in one of my true bypass loopers to show you guys how they work and how these simple little things will can make your signal just brilliant. So right now I'm plugged right in. I'm just going straight into my little amp on the clean channel, and you can hear my guitar. You can hear everything quite articulately. I've got the tone and everything turned right up, so you can hear everything nice and evenly. And that's the kind of signal you want with a pedal on or off. Now when we put this pedal in line, you're going to see a big difference. All of my mids and my trebles are going to kind of disappear, and that's with the pedal on or off. So check this out. I got a battery in here, so I'm just going to plug right in to the pedal, and I'm just going to play the same two chords so you can get the idea. So the pedal's not on. I don't know if you can notice that. This is a substantial difference. And then with the pedal on, I've got the effect. Seems to be working a little bit, but still a little flat, unless you got it pinned. Now, I'm going to show you how, by running this through a looper, basically, and all it is basically a true bypass switch. We're running the signal directly through it, but we're going to loop the pedal into that signal. So what I'm going to do here is plug into that guy there. Excuse me. Just going to have to get in your way, sorry. I'm going to plug this guy into my output. Sorry about the noise. And now, how we're running this is, you can hear it's on. I'll just turn it off. It's basically going straight through, and when this is on, that means the pedal is in the signal. So if you're using a bunch of effects, you can just leave it on all the time. But listen to the signal. It sounds just as good as when I'm plugged straight in.
Yeah, it does.
Now I'm going to add the pedal in. It's actually, pardon me, the pedal is in the circuit right now.
Right.
So now I'm going to take it out. Pretty neat, eh?
No tone sucking.
No tone sucking. And it's a way of not doing an evasive overhaul on a bunch of pedals. So if you've got, like, you can do this with 2 or 3 pedals. You don't have to do it with one pedal. You can run this into your distortion pedal if you know it's not true bypass, or your overdrive pedal, or what have you, and loop it into this to this little unit here that I've made. And you basically have turned all those pedals into a true bypass, or going through a true bypass signal. You're just adding them into a signal that's going direct. It's a neat little trick. I also make them with 2 pedals, so you can run, if you want to run your dirty on one side and then your wet effects, like your delay and stuff, it'll be on the other side. So there's actually 2 of these guys, and double all of this of the inputs and stuff. But it's just a thing to think of when you're thinking about doing a bunch of mods to pedals, or if you want to mod pedals, or if you just want to hear the difference between your pedals, whether they're true bypass or not. The Burlesk TBL True Bypass Looper.
Very cool.
Yeah. I'm working on a Gibson SG for a good client of mine, Ben. And one of my biggest pet peeves over the past few years that they did at Gibson is, if you look inside here, they've installed, and what they've made is these PC board types tone control and volume control plates, and basically they're really impossible to work on. You can't unsolder anything off of this board without literally having to replace the board. I mean, I've taken these caps here and snipped them and replaced them, and then what I've done over here, as you can see, is I've had to basically leave the two little studs on that were sticking out of the board, and I've soldered my wire onto them, and I've installed a new pure tone 4-point input jack that's going to go right in there and fit nicely, and will be able to be replaced and what have you if need be in the future. But these are kind of silly. They tried these many moons ago in the 70s. The Japanese came up with it first, and the problem is you know, when you got to replace one component on this thing, you got to take the whole thing out to work on it. So it's just a, not with this particular one, because you can't get these units off of here, and I've tried, believe me. But they realized it was a bad idea back then. Anyway, they've come back with it again within the last, probably, I would say probably the last 7 or 8 years. I started seeing these around that time, and wasn't super impressed. I do have a lot of pros that get me to yank these out immediately. I have a lot of guys that as soon as they know this is in their guitar, they want it out. Because if you're on the road and you're a gigging musician and one of your controls goes down, this whole thing goes down. So, just something to be wary of with the newer Gibsons. It's not an inexpensive repair to replace this whole thing, so make sure you got a good tech that knows what he's doing. Hello. Remember this bass? No. So this is the bass we were going to stain up, and I wanted to show you the process I do. What I'm looking for is to try to achieve this color, and that's going to be, I'm assuming, probably 3 or 4 coats with about an hour of drying time in between. So the process on this bass is what it's going to look like after is it's a purple bass with chamfered exposed wooden edges. So what I'm going to be doing is staining it first, the top, then I'm going to let that dry, obviously stain it to the degree I need it to be, then I'm going to use a very light low tack tape off the whole top, and then I'm going to chamfer the edge with files and sanding and get my exposed wood, and then I'm going to do the back. So I'm going to do it in like 3 different phases, possibly even 4. Actually, now it's 4 that I think about it. So yeah, here we go. You always want to have one for wiping and one for applying. When you're staining, you don't want to put it on too heavy. I always recommend following the grain for the best penetration. And this is going to take probably 3 or 4 coats, maybe 5, to get it to the color I'm after. You also want to make sure that your surface is sawdust free, and hopefully you sanded all the scratches out, because if you didn't, you're going to go back and be doing a little sanding. But yeah, follow the grain, nice and even coat. You can go inside the cavities if you want, it doesn't matter. It's not going to hurt anything. The harder the wood and the tighter the grain, obviously, the harder it is for the stain to get sucked in. So
Absorb.
absorb, that's the word we're looking for. Yes.
Just here to help, babe.
Thank you, dear. So as you can see, I'm going to let this sit for just a second. I'll put that there. And it's might not lighten up too much, but a fair bit. Boy, it sure looks nice, eh?
Mm-hmm.
I imagine after a few more coats, it's going to really have a lot of pop to it.
Mm-hmm.
The grains will pop out a little. I might even give it a quick sand before the next coat to make that grain even pop even more.
Awesome.
Yep. Just some things you got to do. But make sure you get it all up, because if you don't, you'll have dark spots or it'll absorb in. And make sure you go around the edge, and if you got a drip or anything, get it off. See how that's darker there?
Mm-hmm.
Because I got to wipe it. And you don't want it to dry completely on there, because you'll get splotches.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of a pain in the butt. I think I got her covered. I'll just let this sit now for about an hour and come back in and see how it looks and do it again.
Great.
So I've put 4 coats on, and I'm going to let it sit overnight and dry thoroughly, and probably hit it again tomorrow. And then let that sit overnight, and then I've got to do all the contouring and stuff as I described earlier. So lots to do, but lots of fun. Really cool. I'm really happy with the way it's turning out.